Sodanandana Bradadanarandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Vishnu-Bhāgavatam Swami Maharaj Acharya Rasas Videsi Bhāgavata Purāṇa Ki Jai Namachar Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sagaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Vedagata Shri Kauravas Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopita Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Ki Jai Gang Shmona Tulasi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai all glories to some of the devotees, all glories to some of the devotees, all glories to some of the devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Guranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishnadasaya Bhutale Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Swami Nityanamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachadane Nirvashesha Shunyavadi Pachtatcharisha Tadane Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 10, chapter 68, verse 42-43. Jalayanam ivagurnam Gangayam nagaram patat Akrishyamanam alokya Kauravas jata sambrama. Jalayanam, raft, eva, as if, gurnam, tumbling about, Gangayam, into the Ganges, Nagaram, city, Patat, falling, Krishyamanam, being dragged, Alokya, seeing, Kaurava, the Kauravas, Jata, becoming, Sambrama, excited and bewildered. Translation, seeing that the city was tumbling about like a raft at sea as it was being dragged away, and that it was about to fall into the Ganges, the Kauravas became terrified. To save their lives, they approached the Lord for shelter, taking their families with them. Placing Samba and Lakshmana in front, they joined their palms in supplication. Purport, the city of Hastinapur began to roll about like a raft in a stormy sea. The frightened Kauravas, to quickly appease the Lord, immediately brought Samba and Lakshmana to place them in front. The Kauravas said, "O Rama, Rama, foundation of everything, we know nothing of your power. Please excuse our offense, for we are ignorant and misguided. You alone cause the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the cosmos, and of you there is no prior cause. Indeed, O Lord, authorities say that the worlds are mere playthings for you as you perform your pastimes. O unlimited one of 1,000 heads, as your pastime, you carry this earthly globe upon one of your heads. At the time of annihilation, you withdraw the entire universe within your body, and remaining all alone, lie down to rest. Your anger is meant for instructing everyone. It is not a manifestation of hatred or envy. O Supreme Lord, you sustain the pure mode of goodness, and you become angry only to maintain and protect this world." Purport, the Kurus admit that Lord Balarama's anger was entirely appropriate, and in fact was meant for their benefit. As Srila Vishnu Chakravarti puts it, the Kurus meant to say, because you exhibited this anger, we have now become civilized, whereas previously we were wicked and could not see you, blinded as we were by pride. We bow down to you, O soul of all beings, O wielder of all potency, O tireless maker of the universe, offering you obeisances, we take shelter of you. Purport, the Kauravas clearly realized that their lives and destinies were in the hands of the Lord. Sukadeva Goswami said, thus, propitiated by the Kurus, whose city was trembling and who were surrendering to him in great distress, Lord Balaram became very calm and kindly disposed towards them. "Do not be afraid," he said, and took away their fear. Duryodhana, being very affectionate to his daughter, gave as her dowry 1,260-year-old elephants, 120,000 horses, 6,000 gold chariots shining like the sun, and 1,000 maidservants with jeweled lockets on their necks. The Supreme Lord, chief of the Yadavas, accepted all these gifts and then departed with his son and daughter-in-law as his well-wishers bid him farewell. Then Lord Halayuda entered his city, Dwarka, and met his relatives whose hearts were all bound to him in loving attachment. In the assembly hall, he reported to the Yadu leaders everything about his dealing with the Kurus. Even today, the city of Hastinapur is visibly elevated on its southern side along the Ganges, thus showing the sign of Balaram's prowess. Purport, Srila Prabhupada writes as follows: for the most part, it was the practice of the Kshatriyans to inaugurate some kind of fighting between the parties of bride and bridegroom before the marriage. When Samba forcefully took away Lakshmana, the elder members of the Kuru dynasty were pleased to see that he was actually the suitable match for her. In order to see his personal strength, however, they fought with him, and without any respect for the regulations of fighting, they all arrested him. When the Yadu dynasty decided to release Samba from the confines of the Kurus, Lord Balaram came personally to settle the matter, and as a powerful kshatriya, he ordered them to free Samba immediately. The Kauravas became superficially insulted by this order, so they challenged Lord Balaram's power.
They simply wanted to see him exhibit his inconceivable strength. Thus, with great pleasure, they handed over their daughter to Samba, and the whole matter was settled. Duryodhana, being affectionate towards his daughter Lakshmana, had her married to Samba in great pomp. Balarama was very satisfied after his great reception from the side of the Kurus, and accompanied by the newly married couple, he started toward his capital city of Dwarka. Lord Balarama triumphantly reached Dwarka, where he met with many citizens who were all his devotees and friends. When they all assembled, Lord Balarama narrated the whole story of the marriage, and they were astonished to hear how Balarama made the city of Hastinapur tremble. Now send the purports of the humble servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada to the 10th Canto, 68th chapter of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled The Marriage of Samba. So here we see that though initially the Kauravas insulted Balarama and Krishna in a very, rude way, and Balarama had become angry and therefore began dragging the city into the Ganga River because they were afraid for their lives. Then they offered some nice prayers, and actually the prayers are very true. So here, if these prayers were recited by great devotees, then we would say that yes, this is very appropriate. But actually the Kauravas are reciting these prayers who moments before had insulted Balarama and Krishna very rudely. So we cannot say how much this is sincere prayer or not, because they were some seconds before that very rude to Balarama and Krishna, and saying that the shoe was trying to sit on the head, thinking of Krishna as a lowly shoe and unqualified to sit on the throne. So now they take the opposite stance because of their threat to their life. And all of these verses describing Balarama are very true. So they say that Balarama is the foundation or adhara of everything, which is exactly a scriptural definition of Supreme Lord. He is the support of everything in existence, in the material world and in the spiritual world. And they also admit that they are foolish and unintelligent, etc., and difficult for them to understand the nature of Supreme Lord. So they recognize the supreme position of Balarama. And then again, they state that, okay, you are the cause of creation, maintenance, and destruction, which is similar to what is said in the Brahma Sutras, Jamadesa Yataha, etc. So everything they say is very scriptural. And you are the original cause. Nothing, you don't have any cause, but you cause everything else. So this is also a common statement of the scripture. He is the cause without any other cause. Or he is the Adi, the origin of everything. And of course, then they give an example that it's just like a child plays with toys or whatever. So you manifest this universe and destroy it as if it were some toy, to indicate the great power of the Supreme Lord over everything, and simply by His will everything happens. That's also very, very true. We have many examples also, like the spider produces the web and then puts it back into himself, withdraws it within himself again, like that. So many examples are there in the scriptures. And they address him as the 1,000-headed one, with infinite number of pastimes. Again, very appropriate to Balaram particularly, because his expansion is Mahavishnu or Sankarshan, and Ananta, Shesha, who has 1,000 heads. So therefore they recognize that Balaram has some expansions as Ananta Shesha, and that he carries on his head the Bhumandala. Of course, it's explained by Rupa Goswami and Lagu Bhagavatamrita that actually that Shesha is not Balaram directly. It's that form is a Shaktivesh avatar. It's a jiva with special powers. Whereas the Shesha who acts as Vishnu's bed, that is actually Shankarshan, or expansion of Shankarshan. So that's the real Supreme Lord. And the person who holds up the Bhumandala is a expansion of that, is a Shaktivesh avatar. They understand that the Lord is supreme and the universe is created, the universe is destroyed, and after the universe is destroyed, the Lord remains. He is there in spite of the fact that everything else is destroyed. So they give very scriptural descriptions of Balarama, and they identify him as the Supreme Lord. So these are all very correct descriptions, and therefore they cannot be criticized because they're completely correct. And then they talk about his anger. So again, scriptural, the anger of the Lord is not out of hatred or envy. It's to give benefit. It's for protecting the world. So this again, of course, is supported by scriptural statements, as in Bhagavad Gita, where the Lord says, I don't hate anybody, I don't favor anybody. So the Lord, even if he kills demons, he doesn't hate them. And of course, this also indicates that the Lord is beyond the gunas. He's beyond even sattva gun. Of course, he favors the sattva gun of the material world, but he's actually Suddha sattva, beyond that sattva gun of the material world. So therefore, we cannot say that the Lord is angry in the material sense, because material anger arises from the mode of passion and ignorance. Kama esha, krodha esha, rajagun samudbhava. So kama is in passion, and anger is in ignorance. So none of these, passion, ignorance, are not part of the Supreme Lord at all. He's completely beyond the modes of material nature. So therefore, he cannot be really angry. So therefore, the anger of Balarama is quite different from the anger shown in the material world. It has a benefit. It also shows, of course, affection for the devotee, as we see in the case of Nrsimhadev. Why was he so angry? Because his devotee was afflicted by Hiranyakasipu. So he was angry at Hiranyakasipu. So should the Lord be neutral in that case? No, he should favor his devotee. Simultaneously, in the material world, of course, we'll say, well, if we like this person, then we'll hate the attacker. But in the case of the Lord, no. He shows affection, but he doesn't show hatred. But he also gives benefit to even the demons. If he kills Hiranyakasipu, he gets benefit. He doesn't suffer. So therefore, the Lord's anger and whatnot are quite different from that in the material world. It does not arise from the gunas. Definitely, though the Lord is equal to everyone, he does favor the devotees, and he has great affection for the devotees. And that is not a bad quality. That's a good quality. The Lord should show affection for a person who shows affection for him. And the stronger affection that a devotee shows for the Lord, the stronger is the affection of the Lord. So he has to express that affection somehow or other. So one of the ways he can do that is by saving the devotee, as in the case of Prahlad. He saves him from Hiranyakasipu. So that's affection. To do that, he has to fight with Hiranyakasipu. If Hiranyakasipu had said, okay, I surrender, fine, there wouldn't be no fight. But Hiranyakasipu insists on fighting. So therefore the Lord fights with him. So even that fight is not a manifestation of anger in the true sense. It is also a type of bliss for the Lord. His manifestation of the fighting spirit with anger and virya is a reflection of virya rasa, in which we get anger and fighting spirit manifested, as we see with in the spiritual world, where Krishna fights with the cowherd boys, and they show some anger and they fight with each other in competition, but it's not real anger. Of course, it's different with the demon, because the demon's not a devotee. But still, it's not the material anger that the Lord shows in this case also is completely different. So we can say that the anger is deceptive. It looks as if it is the material anger when he's fighting with Hiranyakasipu, or when Balarama is angry with the Kauravas. But since it comes from the Lord, it cannot be material at all. It has to be spiritual. So the Lord has different spiritual rasas, primary rasas and secondary rasas. Among the secondary rasas, we have Rudra rasa, anger. So the Lord can have Rudra rasa in support of his affection. It's always in relation to primary rasa. So Lord has primary rasa, and over that we have a manifestation of anger. So in the case of Nrsimhadev, he has affection for Prahlad. That's the primary rasa. And then he has anger, not at Prahlad, but in relation to Hiranyakasipu, who's afflicting Prahlad. But it arises because of the affection for Prahlad. And over that he gets this temporary manifestation of anger at the demon. Right? Similarly, the devotee can also do the same. He has a relationship with the Lord. His relationship may be dasya or sakya or whatever. So in Vrindavan, the devotees have relationships with Krishna, various relationships, sakya, dasya, vatsalya, madhurya. What happens when a demon attacks? They get angry at the demon. Why? Because they're attacking Krishna. So because of their affection for Krishna, they direct their anger towards the demon. So again, it's all part of the spiritual rasa. In this case, then we have Balaram, Supreme Lord. So he, just as we have rasas and secondary rasas, the Lord also has his rasas. So he has affection for samba. And the Kauravas are the ones who are interfering with that by kidnapping him and defeating him and whatever. So therefore, he expresses anger towards them because of his affection for the devotee, samba. So therefore, the anger is not the anger of the material world at all. It's in relation to the primary rasas, and it's also a spiritual rasa that manifests because of that. So therefore, the anger is justified also. So the Kauravas also recognize this. That, okay, this anger is not the anger of the material world. It doesn't come from hatred or envy of the material gunas, and you're in pure sattva. So the anger has its primary purpose, of course, to protect the devotee. And of course, then if we can enlarge that, we can say the anger is there to institute proper conduct among people in general, to set an example so that other people also don't act in the same way. So in that sense, it's for protection of the world, etc. So the Lord is therefore glorified nicely by the Kauravas in this case. But then we also know that later on, again, they went back to their old views, and they eventually fought with the Pandavas, who were the devotees of the Lord. Not just Samba, they fought with the Pandavas in the battle of Kurukshetra. So, although they speak nicely here, forgotten later on. And again, they're back to their old thing, as they insulted Balarama and Krishna by comparing them to a shoe or whatever. So later on, they again fought with them. So they may have temporary intelligence due to the presence of Balaram and due to their dangerous situation, that with his plow he could drag the whole city. So they saw a manifestation of his great power at that point. The nature of the demon, however, is that he doesn't really see. He is blind. So no matter what the Lord does, no matter what powers he shows, no matter what beautiful form he shows, they are blind. So they may have temporary realization due to danger to themselves, but that gets covered over. very quickly. And again, back to their original mentality. So they get temporary enlightenment, we say, due to the mercy of Balarama, because of his personal presence and seeing him and seeing his beauty, they get, and his power, they can get some little realization. But then their demoniac nature overwhelms them, and again they revert to their hostility, which of course took a little time to develop. So after this, there was some time period and many incidences before the battle took place. But anyway, that was, we can say, predictable. We see the symptoms already were there and earlier with the how the Kurus, particularly Dhritarashtra and his sons, treated the Pandavas when they were children, and tried to kill them and harass them in various ways. So definitely they had very evil intentions from the very beginning, and they never gave those evil intentions up. So they speak like this, but it is a temporary phenomena. We can say, may mercy of the Lord, that they get a flash of real truth, but again, covered up. Yeah. So in some cases, due to the presence of the Lord, people can advance. This is one case where no, they don't advance. They had plenty of opportunities to associate with the Lord and get purified, but they didn't. They had to get killed by the Lord eventually. So that shows a very strong hostile attitude, a very strong demonic mentality. Even the Lord's presence itself cannot purify them or whatever. In the case of others who may have slight hostility to the Lord, yes, they can get purified, they can rectify themselves, they can become devotees. In this case, it was hopeless. The Lord, of course, has recognized this already. So later on he says, well, anyway, they're already killed when he shows his universal form. Yes, they're already dead. It's already planned out. They're all going to die in the battle of Kurukshetra. So it's like he knows everything. So yeah, because it's inevitable that they would not rectify even by the direct influence of the Lord. So therefore, ultimately, he had to kill them all. So still no envy, no hatred. Again, for maintenance and protection of the world, for the general good of everything, and for their own good. He annihilated everyone. So that's not an act of cruelty at all on the part of the Lord. That we cannot say that he encourages violence, etc., etc. Even if he does violence, it is also mercy. So his purpose for the people in general is protection and restoration of Dharma, and for the individual who gets killed, it's also beneficial. So there's no blame on the Supreme Lord, even if there is some violence. But we cannot say that in relation to people in the material world. They're not the Supreme Lord, so therefore all their acts, we cannot say, are going to give benefit to the person they kill or whatever like that. It doesn't happen. So this is a special quality of the Supreme Lord. And, of course, it's not that he wants violence, that he wants to kill. He tries to avoid it if possible. And this is an example of it. Balaram went there to plead with them and solve it, amicably. Then they insulted him. Then he became angry. And then he started pulling the city into the river. At that point, he could have done so, but the Kauravas praised him. Okay, so then the Lord was pacified. So he didn't kill them all. He vowed, I will kill you all. I'll slay the whole city. Everybody in the city is going to die. But then he didn't do that. Why? Because they offered some prayers. So the Lord was not ruthless. It was not cruel. Every chance he took, he avoided destruction. So we see here it actually happened. Because they offered nice prayers. Then the Lord was merciful, and he stopped, and he didn't kill them. But then we see later on, again, they insult, they attack. And finally, then the Lord kills them. So he gave many chances to the Kauravas. But ultimately, they could not be corrected. So therefore, finally, they were all annihilated.
The Kurukshetra, Balarama is supporting Duryodhana. He's a part of Leela, Krishna.
Well, he's not really supporting him. He actually was neutral. And the way he's neutral is because there was some obligation between him and Duryodhana. He had been his teacher, etc., so he didn't want to get involved. That's all. Not that he actually favored a dharma or anything. He stayed out of the whole battle.
We have many temples of Krishna in India. Like Davoji Mandir is one in Vrindavan, few temples, standalone temple of Balarama. Any reason for it, or just
Well, I mentioned this before, that within the Bhāgavatam, the main purpose is to glorify Krishna. And even though Balarama has similar form, he's very beautiful, he even has rasas like Krishna, he has intimate relationship with the devotees in Vrindavan, very, very similar and very, very sweet, still Krishna's exceptional. And therefore Balarama plays a secondary role, and there's not so much descriptions of pastimes with him. So we have this whole section here where there is some description of pastimes with Balarama, such as this incident here, and previously pulling the Jamuna River, etc., and with the demon and killing the demon. Various pastimes are there, but not so many, because of the exceptional nature of Krishna. He is Swayam Bhagavan, so most attention is paid to him. Consequently, in India we don't see many temples to Balarama. There's Dauji and Vrindavan and a few other temples there. And Madhva's temple there on the ocean is Balarama. Mangalore. Madhva discovered a Balaram deity there on the ocean. So there's a Balaram deity there. That's very few, actually, not so many. Of course, we have Balaram and Krishna and Vrindavan, but not so famous because emphasis here is upon Krishna.
So you're saying that the anger of the Lord is also a benefit for the devotees or the demon. How to think about this? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is showing anger to Jagai because when Madai heated Nityananda and Chaitanya became very angry. But he wanted to destroy actually Jagai.
So this is similar. Why was the anger there? Because of affection for the devotees. Because of harassing Nityananda and Haridas. Therefore, the Lord became angry. Just as here, Balarama becomes angry at the Kauravas because they are harassing Samba. So, similar anger. And then we see mercy manifested also. In the case of Jagai and Madai, they reform. Here they don't, actually. They look like they reform, so therefore he's merciful, but later on they revert to their old ways. In the case of Jagai and Madai, they surrendered to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they became great devotees after that. They didn't stay sinful and demoniac and whatever like that. So they changed completely. We can say, due to the extraordinary influence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his mercy, more than Krishna's mercy. Even the aparatis, who are demons, they change. So here they don't change. They slightly change and then they revert back to their old ways. In the case of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they completely changed and they became great devotees after that point.
The ultimate purpose of the Lord is that God wants to give some benefit to the devotees. And what about the sea? When Krishna went to Hastinapur as a messenger, he's also trying to some or other stop the war. He tried, or some other it didn't work. Okay, but here, if war would have been stopped, then so many demons would have been saved also. But it's another purpose to annihilate the demon also. It's another purpose that to annihilate the demon very easily, because through the Kurukshetra war, Okay, so how to see this? One side he's trying to stop, another side he's trying to annihilate.
Well, trying to stop indicates that he is merciful and that there is a possibility perhaps that they can be influenced. So he tried many times. ultimately decided they cannot be influenced. And therefore, final step was war. Yeah.
So if see, he's a Lord, he is there in everyone's heart. Okay, but if Lord cannot stop someone, he could have inspired someone. Okay, he's a Lord. Okay, I should listen to him. Like Duryodhana understood for some time. Again, he forgets. So why Lord is not giving permanent solution to them? Okay, we say.
Well, because it's the jiva. You cannot force the jiva one way or the other. So Hiranyakasipu fought with the Lord, got mercy of the Lord, born as a demon. Again he hated the Lord. That's Ravana. Again he fought with the Lord. Again he got mercy. Again he hated the Lord. It's Shishupala. So the Lord gives so many chances. But when Krishna was there, then by hatred he concentrated on the Lord and got purified. So the Lord killed him and he went to Vaikuntha. So he gave mercy to him in that case.
He said that even after getting the Lord's mercy, still they are not getting people. There are so much sinful person. So much sinful person. That's why they are not getting purified. Even after getting mercy.
Well, in one sense, they do get a little purified with Krishna. And because of that, it is said that everybody who saw him on the battle of Kurukshetra got liberation. So, yeah, they got mercy in that way. They got purified by seeing the form of the Lord. And they got liberation. Maybe they didn't go to Vaikuntha, but at least they got liberation. So and that's for the demons.
Maharaj, it has been mentioned that everybody who died in the Kurukshetra war went back to spiritual look.
Well, they got liberation, not necessarily going to... Yeah.
So it has happened in the same way in the Kali Yuga also. If somebody is dying, even if he is not a devotee, somebody is chanting Hare Krishna Mantra, or he is died, the person dies in front of the presence of the deities. So that he will go back because there is no difference between Krishna and his own deities.
Well, we do have, in one sense, a difference because when Krishna personally comes, then we see special things happen, like Putana gets killed and then she gets a body like this. So the presence of the Lord is very special. Now we can say the name is non-different and the deity is also non-different. Still, there is a special presence of the Lord, and of course Lord Chaitanya also very special. So nevertheless, if anyone, even a demon, happens to concentrate on the name or when they die, yes, they get benefit. As in the case of Ajamil, he wasn't demoniac, but he wasn't a devotee, but he chanted the name of the Lord. And even if he didn't chant at death, because he named his son Narayana, even that one fact absolved him of all his karmas. So they do get benefit in that case. Now, if they're demons, that would mean aparadi. They also get benefit, but it's slower. So that immediately, if they chant the name of Krishna, not all of their karmas get destroyed, as in the case of Ajamil. But some of the karmas get destroyed. And if they do that constantly, for some reason, chant the name of Krishna as aparad, then gradually they also get cleared of their karmas, etc. So some effect is there, but not complete.
Somebody else is chanting and the family members get together and chanting. The person who is doing the dying is not a devotee.
It gives benefit.
Still benefit goes
Yeah.
to the person because he's not chanting.
He's not chanting, he gets what he hears it, hopefully. Hopefully he hears it. And even if he doesn't hear it, still there's benefit. Just like when they do the Shraddha rites and then they offer something, he's not there, but he gets the benefit still. Intention of the person doing it is also there. So they get benefit from that also. It's like almost like a Gata Sukra, spiritual Gata Sukriti, where they get some benefit from it, even though they had no intention or whatever. Yeah. Anything, any contact with anything spiritual gives benefit. May not give you, prema